What if I told you one of the most heartbreaking poems in your syllabus has no full stop? Not one. It's one single sentence, one long, breathless, painful thought, like a daughter who is so afraid of losing her mother that she can't even pause to breathe. The poem? My Mother at 66. The poet? Kamala. And by the time we're done today, this poem will hit you right here. About the poet. Kamala, born in Malabar, Kerala, is one of India's most fearless and emotionally raw poets. She wrote in both English and Malayalam, under the pen name Madhavi Kuti. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, Dilly Teacher. Class, I will cover every single explanation, every hidden meaning, and every poetic device so thoroughly that by the end, you'll be fully prepared for your board exams. No gaps, no doubts. Let's dive in. Context of the poem. The poet is driving from her parents' home to Cochin Airport. Her mother is sitting beside her. During this car ride, she looks at her mother and is struck by how old, frail, and death-like her mother looks. This triggers a deep childhood fear of losing her mother, but she says nothing. At the airport, she hides her pain behind a smile and simply says, "See you soon, Amma." The entire poem is one single sentence, no full stops, representing the continuous, unbroken stream of thought and emotion running through the poet's mind. Lines 1-2. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning. Class, the poem begins very simply, almost like someone telling you a story. I was driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning. It sounds casual, right? Like a diary entry. But Kamala is doing something very clever here. By saying last Friday morning, she grounds the poem in a specific, real moment. This is not an imagined scenario. This actually happened. It makes the poem feel personal, autobiographical, and painfully real. Also notice she says my parents' home, not my home. This subtly tells us she has grown up and moved away. She was visiting, and now she's leaving. This idea of departure, leaving her parents, leaving her childhood, becomes the emotional core of the poem. CBSE key points. Specific time and place makes it autobiographical and real. Parents' home, not my home, suggests distance. She no longer lives there. The journey from home to airport equals metaphor for life's journey away from parents. Narrative, conversational tone. The poem reads like a personal confession. Lines 3-5. I saw my mother, beside me, doze, open-mouthed. Now the poet looks at her mother sitting beside her in the car. And what does she see? Her mother is dozing, half asleep, mouth open. Now class, think about this image. When do people doze with their mouth open? When they're very tired, very weak, or very old. It's not a graceful image. It's raw and honest. The word beside me is important. Her mother is right there, physically close, but the poet suddenly feels an emotional distance because she realizes her mother is aging and slipping away. She's beside her, yet she feels like she's losing her. The open mouth is a very specific, almost uncomfortable detail. Kamala doesn't beautify her mother. She shows us the reality of old age, the loss of control, the vulnerability. An open mouth during sleep also faintly resembles a corpse, and that's exactly where the poet's mind goes next. CBSE key points. Doze. Open-mouthed suggests extreme weakness, fatigue, old age. Raw, unromanticized image, Kamala signature confessional honesty. Beside me, physical closeness versus emotional realization of impending loss. The open mouth foreshadows the corpse simile coming next. Lines 5-6. Her face ashen like that of a corpse. Here it is, class. The line that shocks you. The poet looks at her mother's face and sees it ashen, pale, colorless, drained of life like a corpse. A corpse. She's comparing her living mother's face to a dead body. Now, why does she use such a harsh comparison? Because that's what fear does to you. When you're terrified of losing someone, your mind jumps to the worst possible image. The poet is not saying her mother is dead. She's saying her mother looks like she could be, and that terrifies her. The word ashen means gray-white, like ash after a fire has burned out. Think about that metaphor within the metaphor. The fire of life is burning out in her mother. What's left is ash, colorless, lifeless. This is a simile like that of a corpse, and it's the most important figure of speech in this poem for your board exam. CBSE key points. Simile. Face ashen like that of a corpse. Ashen equals pale, gray, lifeless, colorless like ash. Fire of life dying out. The comparison reveals the poet's deep fear of her mother's death. Corpse imagery equals the poet confronts mortality for the first time viscerally. This is not disrespect, it's raw, honest love expressing itself as fear. Lines 6 to 8. And realized with pain that she was as old as she looked. Now this line is beautifully layered. Read it again. Realized with pain that she was as old as she looked. What does this mean? It means the poet had been in denial. In her mind, her mother was still the young, energetic, beautiful woman from her childhood. But now, looking at her dozing face, she realizes with a sharp, sudden pain that her mother truly is old. She's 66, and she looks 66. The image in her mind and the reality in front of her eyes have finally collided. The phrase realized with pain is so important. This is not a casual observation. It hurts her. It's like a punch to the chest. The realization that your parent is aging, that they won't be around forever, is one of the most painful human experiences. And Kamala Das captures it in just a few words. Also notice she doesn't say, "I felt sad." She says realized with pain. Pain is physical. It's in the body. This emotional realization has physical weight. CBSE key points. The poet had been in denial about her mother's aging. Realized with pain, emotional pain felt physically, sudden, and sharp. She was as old as she looked. Reality shatters the poet's mental image of her young mother. Theme: inevitability of aging and the helplessness of children watching parents grow old. This is the poem's emotional turning point. Lines 8-9. But soon put that thought away and looked out at. And what does the poet do with this painful realization? Does she cry? Does she say something to her mother? No, she pushes the thought away. Put that thought away like putting something in a drawer, closing it, locking it. She deliberately distracts herself. This is so relatable, class. When something is too painful to think about, we avoid it. We change the subject. We look away. That's exactly what the poet does. She literally turns her head and looks out the window. She escapes from the pain by shifting her gaze outside. This is a defense mechanism, a psychological response to unbearable emotion. The poet is not strong enough to face the thought of her mother's death, so she runs from it mentally. CBSE key points. Put that thought away. Deliberate act of suppression, denial, defense mechanism avoiding unbearable emotional pain. She physically looks away. The outer action mirrors the inner escape. Shows the poet's helplessness. She can't stop aging, so she avoids thinking about it. Lines 9-11. Young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. Now, this is genius. Look at what the poet sees outside the car window. She sees young trees that appear to be sprinting, running past as the car moves. And she sees merry children spilling out of their homes. Class, why does Kamala Das choose these specific images? Think about it. She just saw her mother old, ashen, corpse-like, dozing. And now she sees young trees, sprinting, merry children, spilling out. Do you see the contrast? This is a stark contrast, and it's intentional. The world outside is full of youth, energy, life, movement. But inside the car, beside the poet, life is fading. The outside world becomes a painful reminder of what her mother once was and will never be again. The word sprinting is a transferred epithet. Personification: trees don't sprint, but they appear to run as the car moves. It suggests speed, youth, energy. Merry children spilling out. The word spilling is beautiful. It suggests abundance, overflow, uncontrollable energy like water spilling from a glass. Children are so full of life they can't be contained. Compare this to the mother who can barely stay awake. CBSE key points. Contrast, juxtaposition, youth and life outside versus age and death inside. Sprinting: personification of trees, suggests youth, speed, vitality. Merry children spilling: imagery of abundant, overflowing life and joy. These images are the opposite of the mother's condition, intensifying the poet's pain. The poet tries to distract herself, but the contrast only deepens her fear. Transferred epithet. Sprinting actually describes the car's movement transferred to the trees. See you in the next part. Hope you liked the video. Do subscribe for more such explanations.